In today's video, we are going to look at the Prosig brake noise software. We don't have a vehicle or a system at hand. So, for the purposes of this demonstration, we will use the data that has been collected previously by our engineers. We will start with loading the P-0012 acquisition software. Since we don't have any equipment with us, we are going to select Use Configuration from Setup Files. Then we navigate to File, Open, Setup. We have this folder called Prosig Test Vehicle. Inside the folder, we have a setup which we can select. What we can see here is all the different channels available, logging channels or acquired channels. If we go to Tools, then Options, then General, we can check the sample rate used. In this case it is 1 Hz. The channels that will be used as logging are marked as Yes. Channels that will be used for high-speed data capture are marked as Yes in this Acquire column. In this channel, we have a microphone. This is inside the cabin of the vehicle. We have front and rear line brake pressures. We have a deceleration axle. We also have accelerometers on the 4 braking calipers. We have a reverse signal so we know when the vehicle is in reverse gear or not. We have a pedal count. Vehicle speed. We have the manual driver's speed trigger rating event. Then the last 5 channels are thermocouple channels. This setup also uses the Prosig intelligent triggering. If we look at the real-time displays, we have several tabs set up. This is for disk temp, vehicle speed, driver noise, pedal count, front line pressures, and vibrations from the individual hubs. Finally, we also have some more displays of different signals. We have various options available. If we concentrate on display 3, we can see that these 4 graphs are the vibration signals for the 4 calipers. We can see there is a gray band in the middle. This is the intelligent triggering settings. If we look at its properties, we can see it is from a 1000 Hz to 15,000 Hz at a value of 16 meters per second squared. The result of these triggering events will be data captured for 10 seconds with a pre-trigger of 5 seconds. So, the intelligent trigger will capture the vibration events, but there is also a manual trigger, which the driver can press should he need to. Let's close our software now and look at our data file. This data is saved on a per vehicle, per capture basis. If we look at the example data that we have available, inside the folder, we have 3 days of captured data. Inside each day folder, we have the number of runs carried out. Day 1 had 3 runs of tests. And each run folder contains a number of files. Here we have the logging file, which is the channels that are marked as logging channels for the duration of the test. We then have these high-speed event files, that are short and 10 seconds long data captures of a particular trigger or noise event. In day 1, run 1, we have 11 high-speed events. In day 1, run 2, we have 24 high-speed events. If we look at run 3, we have no events. In day 2, we see the same pattern. Just like day 1, there are 3 runs. We have 7 brake events for run 1. For day 2, run 2, there are 17 brake events, and just like day 1, there are no brake events for run 3, day 2. Again, day 3 follows the same pattern. 3 separate runs. Run 1 with 29 events, run 2 with 21 brake events, and the last run with no brake events. If we had multiple vehicles in our test, then we would have additional folders saved with multiple sets of data. In this instance, we only have 1 vehicle, so 1 vehicle folder was created. We can modify the parameters of the set as we like. We can do the tests more than 3 days or less than 3 days, or we can do any number of runs. The only defining factor is that there needs to be at least 1 run. There are 2 ways we can produce reports. One is a daily report and the other is a final report. The report formats between the 2 are exactly the same. The daily report can simply be carried out on 1 day's worth of data. The final report is carried out on all the data collected. Let's go back to the DATS software. Let's select the brake noise function on the Applications tab. It'll ask us to choose a vehicle folder. So naturally, we will select this Prosig test vehicle folder, then click the Select button. Then, the processing can begin. We can see the processing doing this step by step, event by event. Since we have a lot of data, this may take a while to complete. We are just coming towards the end of this processing now. The analysis is complete. If we take a look at our hard drive, we should have a new file that contains the analysis of the data. This is the brake report in Excel format. This forms the bulk of the brake analysis data. Here we have a summary of the data. This has the date of the test, the runs, the cumulative number of runs, the application of the brake pedals, the noise events and which wheel it was coming from, and finally the percentage based on all of those headers. On this graph, we can see that as the braking components were new, the events were rather high. Eventually, they settled down over the course of the runs. We have many different worksheets available. We have an acceptance curve for this particular customer. Here we can see that the value should be above or below a certain line. If we go to the GUI analysis and driver rating, we can see a complete breakdown of all the information. Some of them are highlighted in different colors that magnify certain events. This may require further inspection later on. The next tab contains all of the data we have in different events and levels. Then, we can see the sound pressure level versus the frequency for each of the corners of the vehicle. We can also see the temperatures versus frequency of the discs when the noise event occurred. If we scroll down, we can look at the individual wheels and their data. On this tab, we have temperature versus distance. We can see how the distance traveled affects or does not affect the noise events. Again, this is broken down for the front and rear wheels. Finally, we have sound pressure levels versus distance. This is broken down for the front and rear axles. There are additional tabs available. We can see vehicle speed and frequency. The brake noise events again. On this tab, we can see driver activations. Numbers 1 to 9 are activations from the driver. Number 1 being very severe to number 9 being the least severe. Then the final tabs look at all the brake data individually. So the front left brake, front right brake, rear brake, rear left and right brake. Now, this concludes the analysis of the Prosig DATS Brake Report software.